Here we're going to be talking about the Startup Settings module in SoftTime. And it should be noted that the Startup Settings module can only be accessed by a user who currently has super administrative access. You get there by clicking on Tools and Startup Settings. Startup Settings represents how employees will be set up when they were first added to the SoftTime system. And because SoftTime allows employees in both days and hours mode, Startup Settings come in both days and hours mode as well. To demonstrate this, I will go through the process of adding one. Go ahead and click on Add. You need to choose a template, which is days or hours, and a template represents how your Startup Settings will look when it's first created. We'll just take the default schedule here. Just give it a name. And you can change the recording mode from days to hours. We'll just leave it in days. And one thing you can adjust is the shift for the morning schedule. So any employee who is added to the system and given the morning schedule will have the shift. And let's just go in here and adjust it here real quick. (6 a.m. to 2 p.m.) Okay, and that represents the shift. But let's take a look over here in the middle where the absence categories, and you'll notice that all of the absence categories are represented in this list box right here. And there are two kinds. We have the allowed categories, which have a lot of information here, and then we have the non-allowed categories, such as leave of absence, which only have a very small amount of information. For the non-allowed categories, such as leave of absence, the only thing that can be adjusted is the recording year type, and it can be switched to anniversary, calendar, or fiscal. For right now, we're going to deal with the vacation absence category. As I said before, you can change the recording year type, and you can turn carryover on or off and also set a maximum. In addition, you can turn accruals on or off, as well as specify an accrual waiting period. An accrual waiting period is simply the amount of time that a new employee must wait before SoftTime starts accruing time, and let's just call that 30 days. In addition, the Startup Settings have what we call the years of service grid. And most of the time, employees that are there for a certain length of time will get more and more time. And this is where you set that up. So let's say, for example, in the first year of employment, an employee gets a base allowance of 5 at the beginning of the year, and they will accrue, let's say, a half day a month. So we set that up here. And let's say after 3 years, they get a little bit more. 3 years there. And let's say they get 10 base allowance, and let's say their accrual goes up to 1 day per month. And once again, let's say if they're there for a little bit longer, say 6 years, they get even more here, and they accrue even more. And here, as you can see, for an employee for the first 3 years, they'll get a base allowance of 5 and an accrual of a half day per month. Between 3 and 6 years, they'll have a base allowance of 10 and they will accrue 1 day per month. And any years after 6, they will have a base allowance of 15 and they will accrue 1.5 days per month. Apply information to employees allows you to apply the settings that we've already talked about to employees that are currently in the system. And to demonstrate that, let me select a startup setting which might have some employees in it. And here, as you can see, a startup setting called attendance clerks, and for the category called vacation, you can see the list of employees that have the attendance clerk startup setting. And the information here is the information that was in the screen before, such as shift information and carryover and accrual and recording year type and yearly info. Take special note that this startup setting, when we're applying this information to the department, applies only the vacation information which we were on, as you can see here. And you can selectively apply the information. So for example, if you didn't want to turn accrual on for everybody, you just do that. And so then when it will not apply turning accrual on for all the employees. It will not overwrite that information. And if you didn't want to overwrite shift, you can uncheck that and it would not apply that either. When you're ready to apply the information that you have selected, you go ahead and click on the Do It button, and it would take the information that is selected and it will apply it to the information to the employees on the left.